Hey guys, welcome back. It's good to have Joe back from NFT Perp. Good to see you, sir. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Been busy. Kind of like the level of of work is definitely kind of like been elevated a couple of rungs, and yeah, just grinding away, I suppose. I mean, market was good for us for a while. But it's back to its normal self again after months of green. And you, what's happening on your side? You guys have been busy. There's been a lot going on. That's why I wanted to get you on. So, yeah, what's your news?
Yeah. So I guess a couple of things. We're running our third trading competition this season. This is season 3 of private beta trading competition. We've got sponsorship from TYDX, Hedgies, the Degens Pass, and another company that we've been collaborating with is called Nibble. They're a NFT fractionalization protocol. So what we've done is taken a M'Lady NFT, fractionalize it into several smaller NFTs that represents this NFT, and added like a little NFT perp logo earring onto the M'Lady, and it's for traders to get prizes on their trades. So we're going to continue to run these community events, and I think it's important for us to keep the tradings fun outside of just having people getting exposure to price action, but they can actually get NFTs as prizes. And yeah, we're kind of excited to continue to run these events and find ways to keep the events fresh and fun and engaging. At the meantime, there's a lot of stuff happening in the background. We're hoping to hit open beta pretty soon. We're working on some external LP functions for the protocol, so people can provide passive liquidity onto the exchange and earn fees. And at the meantime, we're running some community events like poker tournaments. We're going through a fundraise actually. So yeah, a lot of stuff happening, and I have a baby coming in 2 months. So there's that. 3 months.
Yeah, yeah. Is this your first baby?
This is my first baby. That's right.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to be definitely buying you a seatbelt so that you can strap yourself in. Congrats, sir. Well done. It's going to be a hell of a ride, but the best ride, I can assure you
Yeah.
that. So,
I
yeah,
didn't do much, right? It's just mostly my wife being pregnant is doing most of the work.
it's coming. It's more than that, and it's impossible to actually even try and like articulate it into words. You'll see. It's pretty cool. I mean, I've seen a couple of the OGs go through it recently. You know, like just guys that kind of like been friends with on Twitter and in the space, and been 3 of them actually, and they've also recently had kids, and it's just been like everyone's the same. You know, it's kind of like you disbelief, ridiculousness, mayhem, but just ultimately just insanely amazing. You know, so yeah, dude, enjoy. It's going to be a hell of a ride. So it sounds like you guys are just doing a ton of stuff. I mean, it's not so the one thing that's been an overriding obvious thing about NFT Perp is that it's what I said to you before we started our interview, is that it's not just, you know, we're not just a perpetual exchange. You know, it's like, hi, my name is Joe, and I'm not just a perpetual exchange for NFTs. There's just so much other stuff that's going on. You guys are doing a ton of deals with, you know, some great partners, and I wanted to just, you know, lean into that for a moment. And I know that you've had a long-term relationship with the FloorDAO guys. Just walk us through that. I know that when we first chatted in the first interview that we did, you obviously spoke about, you know, the importance of FloorDAO, and I'd like to just revisit that because it's, for me, a sense that there's like quite a big role that needs to be played here. Obviously around the evaluation of NFTs, but also the role that they play with NFT perp going forward. If you could just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So our partnership with FloorDAO really started really like months and months ago. We've been collaborating with them since, I would say, probably August, or maybe even, yeah, around August last year was when we first got in touch, and they have been just quite supportive since the beginning, even before we launched on mainnet. And what we've done, with them so far is they've sponsored a couple of our trading competitions. We've listed a market pair called M'Lady. That's one of their favorite NFTs in their community, and brought in a lot of users from their side. And FloorDAO is also a very close team with nftx, and we use their Oracle value, those liquidity pools for pricing some assets.
Okay.
And most recently, we conducted a treasury token swap between Floor tokens and nftperp tokens. And the intention behind that is, if you know how FloorDAO works, quick TLDR, FloorDAO is a liquidity yield boosting protocol for NFTs. So people can, with Floor tokens, they can vote where the treasury of Floor is going to go to in terms of sweeping up NFT floors, providing liquidity to nftx, generating yield, and the yields go back to the Floor token holders. So directing liquidity incentives and the liquidity treasury, where that goes is where the Floor tokens power really lies. And having those tokens in our treasury will give us the power to direct spot liquidity into a market pair, and subsequently allow nftperp to perhaps list a different market pair, or have more confidence in terms of Floor liquidity on a certain spot market for a specific market pair, which gives us more leverage on listing a market pair on our protocol, and parameters that we can change on the perps AMM on our protocol. So it's a very strategic play in terms of our collaboration with FloorDAO. And with the token swaps, like, they can also have a say in terms of what can be listed on our protocol, what parameters look like. And yeah, there's a lot of different strategies that could be deployed once you have essentially being a stakeholder of each other's protocol. And then that's all we've done in the month of February. We've conducted the token treasury swap, and that's just kind of further aligns our long-term alignment. And yeah, we're really excited about it. There's a lot that we can do together. FloorDAO is also very agnostic as a protocol. Like, they've deployed liquidity into different AMMs like Caviar, and there's also a ton of different stuff going on at FloorDAO. And yeah, we're very excited to continue to work with them, and this will bring a lot of different liquidity flywheel, if you will, into this ecosystem.
So I mean, obviously from kind of like a blockmate's perspective, there's always that question mark, where's the alpha in this? And I think, I mean, obviously I would assume that on a superficial level, the alpha would be kind of like the liquidity that's there, the support that obviously that liquidity provides to the protocol. But in terms of, I think the real challenge for me to kind of like understand is there like a real benefit around sort of like tokenization in this process? Is that part of the thing, or is it just let's just formulate, or let's put a foundation in place, and then from that point onwards we can think about tokens, and we can think about value propositions beyond that point? Or do you think that there is value in just that relationship alone? Does that mean that that FloorDAO actually increases in value, or do you think it's just something that is supportive of what it is that you guys are doing?
I think a lot of it is it could be very tangible, right? Like, a lot of it in terms of governance votes on directions and how the liquidity can be deployed. When you have a partner that is not aligned with you on a PR front, but also has tangible treasury voting rights to how things are done, it further adds incentives and liquidity flywheel in a very, very tangible way. And for us to be able to have that, it allows us to, and from a community standpoint, it also brings in additional users to NFT perp and vice versa. We hope we can direct some users to FloorDAO as well. And it's that power of integration and power of collaboration where it just kind of the tides lift all boats sort of scenario, analogy where you allow everyone to kind of grow together, and we'll believe in that, and we believe like there is an intangible effect long term as well that brings you more benefits down the line. And we like to operate that way. We think these things go a long way, and keeping things agnostic for now and have more tangible strategies that can be deployed later on. It's a no-brainer for us.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, especially within the NFT space, and because liquidity is always going to be a challenge, you need to have those partners that can provide the depth within your offering. It's kind of like, it's obvious, if you stick together with the right people, you can only grow your base, your foundation, which is what you obviously need. You did make reference to spot trading and spot markets specifically. Is that something within the NFT space, because you guys have embarked on essentially a perpetual exchange? Is there an opportunity here for direct spot trading? Is that something that's on your agenda? Is it something that you guys are doing already in beta? What's the perspective around that?
So not really. We don't do any spot trading on NFT perp. We have enough. We think there's a number of different exchanges that's tackling the spot liquidity issues, with different iterations like NFTX, like Caviar as an AMM, like SudoSwap. And we like to kind of stick in our own lane in terms of our product offering, focusing on the derivative side. In regards to dealing with actual NFTs, we like to allow more integrations that leverage physical NFTs when people are trading on NFT perp. With the actual details of how that works, we'll get to the mechanics later on, but the basic idea is trying to allow token holders of NFTs using their NFT as collateral when trading on NFT perp, and liquidity is supplied by external LP. So we can kind of add in more idle capital, and they can tap into more capital efficiency as an NFT holder, as opposed to having to get dry powder of ETH from outside. And these are sort of the things that we're excited about. And I think that's something that haven't really been done before, and we'd like to be one of the first ones to test that out and see if people want it. And yeah, it's one of the I would say features that we're very bullish on, and that would be like the extent of how we deal with actual NFTs in the market, as opposed to creating another spot exchange.
Yeah, I mean, and I suppose your love for NFTs ties in perfectly with that aspect of the business. It's kind of like, I love these things. Why shouldn't I be transacting them, as tangibles, as opposed to just the perpetual side of it? So I totally get that, and I think it would be a natural evolution for what it is that you guys are building. Sodium Finance. I know that you guys have partnered with them. Tell us a little bit about that. I did listen to the spaces that you guys did at the end of Feb And yeah, it was really interesting to obviously listen in on that. So if you guys are interested in what nftperp are doing, go to their Twitter page and just check out the recording that they did on this partnership. Tell us about Sodium, what they do, and obviously the relevance and importance, just to tie in what it is that you were telling us early on.
Yeah, so Sodium is one of those very innovative NFT lending and borrowing protocol that we found mechanically just makes a lot of sense. Like they combine the pros of liquidity pool based NFT lending and borrowing protocols like BAYC, and they combine the pros of P2P loans where the risk is well defined for lenders and borrowers, and their model is quite interesting, and we thought that it would be a great strategic play for our users to eventually be able to tap into their protocol liquidity, and for perhaps their lenders to be able to use NFT perp as a hedging tool to when they're underwriting loans. And these sort of partnership allow us to get into the eyes of get into the shoes of different type of user profiles with regards to how they interact with NFT finance, and allow us to put ourselves in their perspective on what they need and what can we do to provide value to their operations, their strategies. So, partnering with Sodium is a great way for us to grow together and to help other NFT finance team along the way, however we can. And we like to collaborate with different teams that have these sorts of needs, and just be a testing ground as well, because some of these protocols are very new. A lot of these teams are haven't been around for too long. We like to see in the little time that we've been operating, see how we can provide value for these different teams, different users, and hopefully at some point it goes back to us in terms of user volume and traction on our protocol.
Your next career move could be the one you never imagined. Web3 nomads, everywhere jobs for anywhere people.
There definitely does seem to be a real embrace of the concept of NFT finance. This is what this is. I mean, it's you basing collateral off the back of NFTs that have prescribed value, and then you're extending, all those offerings that we've seen in the DeFi space, specifically over the last 2 to 3 years, and you guys are almost like tweaking them to your own devices, which is quite fascinating to see. It's great, it's interesting enough watching this experiment that is DeFi, and then there's like NFT finance, which is like an even more of an experiment. I mean, not really, but it is, because as long as we accept that, a M'Lady has value, then we can go out and do all these really interesting things. So find it fascinating that you guys are doing this. And in many ways, I do consider what you guys are doing as kind of like the leaders of the pack. I mean, there's a couple of kind of like NFT finance protocols per se. I just see nftperp as being like very, very like, what's the right phrase? You guys are not a one-trick pony. You definitely are diversifying, but not a jack of all trades. But it seems like you are doing your very best to become the master of quite a few things at the same time. Which leads me on to my next question of, what are you finding challenging right now in light of all these things that you guys are doing at the moment, just individually and also as a team?
Yeah, good question. I think the challenge is liquidity is still fragmented in general in NFTs. There is NFT lending and borrowing protocols out there. There's BAYC, there's NFTFi, there's a lot of different NFT spot-based exchanges that's tackling the liquidity issue. But overall, I think being a being a collector or being a trader, like unless there's pretty deep liquidity on Blur, which they've done a lot to solve these liquidity problems, it's still not as efficient as you want it to be, and we think there's still a lot of liquidity that's untapped, that's idle, that need to be unlocked, and we're working every day to think on creative ways to unlock those liquidity and allow more capital efficiency for traders and users and collectors. And these things take time. Ideas take time to build. Network effect take time to foster. And what we're excited about is the notion of a sort of a blue ocean strategies that we like to operate on. We don't typically want to go where a market or a product is saturated and try to build a faster horse. Like we really like to think about, how to think outside of the box as a builder, as a team, and continue to find these different edge and angles that users are having pain points in, and think of ways to tie different dots together using existing infrastructures in environments, so that when we do offer that one thing, it unlocks a lot of different liquidity for traders and borrowers, so that it just makes sense as a product offer. And the process of doing that is also important in a way that it has to be understandable. It has to be easy to use. We like to think that offering a product with abundance of clarity, with abundance of usability, is one of the main driver of how a protocol is being used and how much demand it can create. And yeah, it's a process. I like to think that we're not end goal oriented as a team. I think maybe for some people that's kind of weird to hear, but we like to think that it's the process that will give us learnings and give us continued edge to move forward and offer better products for the community in general.
Great answer. I think that's one of the most honest answers you're going to get in the space, is that it's kind of like you are figuring it out, but at the same time, it's easier to figure it out with the right incentives and the right partners in place, so that obviously liquidity is going to land up being the biggest challenge, and it's going to be a big challenge. I mean, even I had an interview with some of the macro OG guys in the crypto space on Monday, and it was like, liquidity is a problem, that's kind of like with Bitcoin and with Ethereum, where guys are like talking about that. So obviously from an NFT perspective, it's going to be a lot harder to capture that liquidity. But I think once you guys have this foundation in place and the right partnerships in place, when the liquidity does return, it's going to be insane, and it's going to be really it's going to be like a movie, this whole thing, and especially NFT finance. The only thing you got to do is just survive, and continue building, and just make sure that you've got what seems to be what you guys have, is that you definitely have your house in order, which is 100 mil in volume. I have to chat about this. That's pretty significant in light of the fact that, this is quite a novel concept, kind of stepping outside of the comfort zone of what NFTs always were on spot trading, and taking it into the perpetual exchange. 100 million, well done. Congrats. You guys are still in closed beta. So you've done this. What's next on your roadmap in terms of open beta? And, what is the kind of rollout period that you guys are looking at?
Yeah. So for us, what we really want to do as we get close to private beta, to open beta, is we want to build external liquidity LP, external LP functions, so users can come to our protocol, and instead of just being a trader, maybe they want to provide liquidity and sort of like providing liquidity on Uniswap v2 or v3. You can get return on the volume that's traded on the protocol. You can get yield on your liquidity position, which in turn like deeper the AMM liquidity on our protocol, so that traders can have better entry prices and better user experience in general. These are the sort of the important things that we think a open beta NFT perp should look like. So that's like the next steps. And afterwards, there's a lot of things that's in the work, including limit orders, including stop losses, including NFT as collateral, these sort of different protocol features that we're building. On the community side, we'll kind of talk about this last call as well. But yeah, we're getting closer and closer to launching our NFT collection. And it's going to be a free mint. We're excited to push this out. Been working on the collection for quite some time now. And yeah, we're hoping this is something that the community will like. It's going to be free, and it's going to be a little peculiar. It's going to be fun, and it's something that we want to give back to the community and allow people to have a sense of ownership in terms of that collection representing their profile pic inside the community. So adding that social layer is the next thing for us as well. We're taking it very seriously, but also not taking it too seriously.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys have obviously spent quite a bit of time around the concept of the NFT that you guys want to essentially give to your community. I mean, obviously, you being very passionate about NFTs and kind of like your interest beyond just this business that you've set up, there definitely is a passion for it. What did you want to capture in that NFT that you wanted to hand over to your community?
Good question. So for us, the reason that we wanted to release an NFT collection is to not make money, right? We're not doing this we don't have a mint price. It's entirely free. We're giving it away to our community members and traders. And the reason why I think that's very powerful is because like it adds a layer of social and a sense of ownership to and a sense of belonging to NFT perp. When I think of a PFP that you put on social media or you put on Twitter, if it's like an NFT, like in a way you kind of look at that and you relate yourself to it, and that's sort of your avatar. And I think having that in a community, drives retention in a very intangible way. But like our goal is for that to translate into tangible data and statistics. The hope is, having that would drive more retention on the protocol, so people will come back more and trade on the protocol more. And we're adding gamifications into these collections as well, where if you're having this as your PFP, you have it staked and you're trading on the protocol, you get rebates, you get certain milestones achieved on the protocol, you get token incentives, and there's like community holders only perks for trading on the protocol and being in the community. So there's several layers that the reason why we want to do this. I wouldn't say we're doing this as a typical NFT project where it's about narrative and hype and whatnot. Like we're just really doing this to create that social layer of NFT perp and to create that sense of belonging that I think is so important. Really, like and this is like getting a little philosophical and off track, but like in life,
that's actually the answer I was looking for. So thanks for getting to that.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I mean, like, like for me, I think really like there are a couple of things people are looking for in life, right? Like number one is to elevate your status. Number two is to get away from pain. And this is getting back into like my Web2 marketing a little bit background. But like we think sense of status and sense of belonging is incredibly important. And it's one of those things that like, especially when you're trading NFTs and you're interacting with the crypto world entirely online, like in a way, sometimes it's hard to find your identity, and it's easy to get buried in a ton of information and all these different Discord groups and Telegram groups that you're supposed to check back in and whatnot. And we like to think that nftperp Discord server and having that NFT representing you, like it always represent a tribe and a place that you belong to, where you can be free, you can troll whatever you want, you can trade, you can express yourself. Like part of that is something that we think is very valuable. And we're not going to harp on that, but it's just one of the intentions that led us to create the collection.
I think it is something that needs to be harped on, just for the record. I think it's probably one of the most important things that provides relevance in the space, and especially in the digital space, because a lot of what's happened, I think, in particularly the last 5-10 years, is that identity has been compromised in many ways, and that sense of belonging has been misled. I mean, I see it with my kids, and I see it with their friends. It's like there's got to be something that grounds people, whether it's an NFT collection. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but it's important. It's important stuff, and especially if it's providing a positive influence in your life with role models, essentially community, because that's what community ultimately is role models, reflection, philosophy, all the kind of like stuff that we might be dismissive of, which is actually really important. And I think a lot of what's happened, in the last few years, and especially with like the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, I think the emotional kind of like roller coaster that we've been on, once again, it sounds quite silly to talk about it in this way around NFTs, but maybe online communities can, if they are positive, if they are reinforcing people in a good way, then bloody hell, then you need to be making NFT collections, and people need to be interacting and socializing in a positive light. We need more of that. So if that is a motivating factor in what it is that you guys are doing, then bloody hurrah to that, sir, because we need more of it. I mean, that's kind of my philosophical rant around that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think it's important. Some people don't think it is, but we like to think that it is. And at the end of the day, like, it's a NFT purpose, a community that made of humans, and we wanted to make sure there's a human part of it in terms of how we do things and how events are run, how we curate community, and how we treat people. And yeah, it's definitely something that we're super excited about. And we hope to continue to, we'll kind of launch the collection as the way it is, and have that initial parameters of how things are done, and let it run, and allow the community to be creative, allow this thing to kind of turn into something of its own as it naturally progress later on.
Yeah, I think the testimony to this little philosophical rant that we've had is very much reflected in the fact that you have seeked out, valuable partnerships in the space. And I know that from your podcasts, and, if you are listening and you are interested in what nftperp are doing, like something that Joe and his team have done probably better than most other protocols, is that you guys have gone out and you've spoken to pretty much everyone in the space that has relevance with the NFT culture, subculture, call it what you want. And you've tapped into, from my perspective of it and what I've seen, because I've been following your chats and that, and it's like, you really are tapping into the best of what everybody has to offer. You know, whether it's, I mean, I think there've been a couple where, you know, they're kind of like iffy projects, like really are tentative, especially in this market. But you've still gone on and you've spoken to them and you've sat down and you've understood what it is that they're doing, and you've tried to understand, you know, what their value proposition is. And I can see what you guys are doing. It's like, it's really obvious. It's like, how can I enhance my value proposition by bringing in other value propositions so that we can amplify it? And it's cool to see. So we are taking notes, Joe, so keep it going. It's really positive to see, you know, an NFT project in this market truly thriving, and hopefully it just continues to grow. Timelines on your open beta, do you have any idea yet?
A couple of months, month to month probably. We're don't want to give a hard date on it, because as a startup founder in tech, like, I know, like, usually things don't ship on time, and when you put a hard date on yourself, it just kind of makes it even more stressful. So we like to move at our own pace, make sure things are taken care of prior to releasing. But, you know, it doesn't mean we're taking our sweet time. We're just a little bit more risk conscious in terms of how things are projected, and how what kind of timeline we want to set ourselves to releasing them. So yeah, a couple of months away.
Cool. I mean, in terms of like the security aspect, I mean, you just brought another question to mind. I was gonna wrap it up. But just last question, in terms of your audits and all that kind of stuff, I mean, have you guys been through that process now in terms of audit, security, all that kind of stuff, or is that still an ongoing process that you currently managing?
Yeah, so our current code that people are trading on, it's been audited, but when we release more things on top of the protocol, you know, different features and different large scale developments, those will all go through audit prior to launching. Cool.
Thank you for your time, sir. I want to do this again. I like these catch-up calls. I mean, we are very interested in what it is that you guys are doing. I know that a lot of our community, like I said to you before the call, they've been asking about, you know, what's the story with NFT, and I like to, you know, do the shorter interviews, get like an update, as opposed to, you know, the deep dive stuff, you know, which is also really cool. But it's nice to, you know, just check in, see what you guys are doing. So I do appreciate your time. I know that you are super busy, and look forward to doing this again, and look forward to the 200 mil mark. I'm sure you guys will get there really quickly. So thanks, Joe. Really appreciate it. Good luck. All the best out there, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you. Appreciate your time, and appreciate all the questions and the feedback so far. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Pleasure. Take it easy. And to everyone listening, don't forget to go and check out the NFT perp content that the guys have put out. There's some really good spaces recordings that are up, and then also check out their Discord. I will post a link in the description below, and please like and subscribe. We do appreciate it. Algos like it, and you know, it keeps us going. So thanks for that. Take it easy, everyone. Chat soon.